Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show, tournament edition, in-season tournament tonight with 11 games on the docket. It is also the Friday show without Justin Fan, which means this is the hour of under one, the week of under 1 hour shows continues with myself and Mike Gallagher. Mike, are you looking forward to getting through these 11 games in under an hour and politely, respectfully, giving the middle finger to Justin Fan and his hour plus diatribes?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, this is great. We're changing the hashtags from hashtag 20 after to hashtag 59 or less. So, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. Certainly got a lot to talk about. I see chat's pumped about Devin Booker. I'm also pumped about Devin Booker, my matchups cover boy. It's on the site. It is loaded. I hit like 8 point something K words. Started working on it like Wednesday night. So, yeah, we'll push it. We'll probably go like 55 maybe. But yeah, excited to talk through this 11 game slate with returns from suspensions, injuries, a whole lot going on here. So it should be definitely over 45, I think. But we're going to do under 59 for sure.
Well, let's see. Let's see if we can do it. Let's get into the game-by-game stuff. Let's start with Milwaukee and Charlotte. On the Milwaukee side of the equation, Jay Crowder remains out. They have questionable tags on Giannis Antetokounmpo and MarJon Beauchamp. I do find it interesting and a little funny that it's a questionable tag instead of a probable tag for Giannis Antetokounmpo, since often he seems to get downgraded from the probable tags. The listing here, right calf injury management, you noted that listing was identical to the language they used for Damian Lillard previously when he missed a few games. What are your expectations here for Giannis Antetokounmpo, MarJon Beauchamp, and the rest of the Bucks?
Yeah, so let me start with the market looks like they're leaning out on Giannis because the lines are really high on some of the other Bucks, which I kind of agree with. They're in a back-to-back set. Chris Middleton is not on the injury report. There was commentary from Griffin saying that they were going to come up with a plan for how they handle this back-to-back. So, calf injuries, aggravation risk somewhat high. I think Giannis kind of sits today. Wouldn't be surprised if he goes. We'll see if they go to Andre Jackson again. If they do sit him, I guess they would. I don't know why they wouldn't, despite how it was kind of iffy. And we talked about this on the DFS show. We were all expecting Portis to start, and then thinking back to what Griffin said 2 pressers ago, he was like, hey, I really like Brook Lopez as a 1-2 punch with Portis. So I think he really just views him as a 6-man. Maybe he's a 6-man candidate, eh? But yeah, I think that's kind of how they go. And then Middleton still on that 21 cap. It was garbage time, but Dame was at the table, and I feel pretty confident Dame was going to sub it for Middleton anyway. So he's still firmly on that 21-ish minute limit there. And yeah, Malik Beasley was freaking awesome. Shout out to you. You took a live bet when MarJon Beauchamp got dinged up, rolled his ankle pretty good. He's questionable as well. So that could thin out their depth, and that would really help Malik Beasley's floor in a matchup that's pretty good. Hornets are dead last in defense. We'll talk about them in a second. So, yeah, I'm leaning out on Giannis. We have him in per projections just because doesn't meet the threshold there, and it's a pretty minor injury from what we're seeing here. But, yeah, a pretty first game of the day we'll figure out. We'll know that one for sure.
Yeah, I think another hint here to Giannis's availability is the fact that Chris Middleton is not listed on the injury report, and
exactly.
It would seem very likely that Chris Middleton would sit at least one of the back-to-back games. So if he's intending to sit tomorrow and you're trying to manage the injury for Giannis Antetokounmpo, you would think Giannis sits today, Middleton sits tomorrow. You get one game of each of them, kind of the approach there. So yeah, that would be my lean as well. All right, Charlotte side, they do return Miles Bridges, as he is done serving his 10-game suspension. So he will be integrated into the rotation. They're still without Terry Rozier and Cody Martin and James Bouknight. They're without their G Leaguers today, Leaky Black, Amari Bailey. Those guys have been listed out. And then questionable tags for Gordon Hayward and Brandon Miller, who both missed last game. And we saw a much thinner Charlotte Hornets unit. So what are your expectations today for Hayward and Miller? How does Miles Bridges mix back in? What do we see from the Hornets tonight?
So let's start with the injured guys first. Gordon Hayward, we mentioned this last week. He had that probable tag for hamstring strain. It was very odd that it was listed that way. And later on, misses a game, but he's practicing now. It looked like he was starter's jerseyed from what I saw in the practice clips yesterday. So expect Hayward to be full go. Same with Brandon Miller. We saw that brutal ankle sprain on Sunday that cost us an over by a half. Sounds like he's good to go. Expecting him to start here. So yeah, probably maybe the minutes are coming down because, as you mentioned, Miles Bridges is returning from his 10-game suspension. Not going to talk about why, but let's talk about what Steve Clifford said. He said that Miles Bridges has done everything that he needed to get a full workload of minutes. He is in shape. He's been practicing, doing everything behind the scenes to prepare him for a full minutes role. This is a guy who played 36 minutes a game 2 years ago before all the off-court stuff pulled him out of the league last year. So he could play a lot, and we're being pretty conservative. I think he's coming off the bench. I don't know if you want to start him, and maybe the Boo Birds will be out, all that stuff. So I think he'd probably get booed when he subs in. But anyways, I think we have him at 24.5 minutes. I think he could beat that. There's a lot of ways he can beat it if they, cut out McGowan's, cut out the Theo Maledon overlap. Maybe they don't play Nick Richards as a center. We know they've run a lot of PJ Washington as a center. They ran him even more so a couple years ago. They ran that PJ Washington center lineup a ton. So it takes upside off Mark Williams' ceiling, a little bit off Nick Richards on the back end. Brandon Miller, we saw some really high minute ceilings. That's coming down. Same with Gordon Hayward. I think that LaMelo's immune to anything happening here. Has had some really full minutes, really big workload since the minutes limit has been dropped. He's first in drives, top 3 in potential. He's like top in every role category that I care about and near the top. So I think he's generally unaffected. And then, Ish Smith will kind of go away, all that. So, yeah, I think this is they could run it tight here. We talked about how super duper thin they were. So, big story to watch. A player who was vying for most improved 2 years ago. He was the favorite around like December. So, big piece coming back. And Clifford, isn't worried about the off-court stuff. He'll play him a lot if he wants to win a game.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see a lot of fragility in terms of projecting this team, but a lot of downside for each of these individual players, simply because if they do choose to fully reintegrate Miles Bridges and he's playing like 28 to 30, they're, minutes got to come from somewhere. They can always just, take him off the top from the back end guys and like let everybody play and play really tight. Clifford has done that before, but it's a bit of an unknown. So we will project with a level of conservativeness until we see a little bit more of it, but understand the fragility in kind of projecting the Charlotte situation today. Okay, let's move to the Knicks and Washington. On the Knicks side of things, RJ Barrett's still questionable with this migraine tag. Quentin Grimes questionable after spraining his left wrist and missing the second half of last game, or really the third and fourth quarter a little bit. What are your thoughts on the Knicks and their availability tonight with Grimes and RJ Barrett?
Yeah, I mean, that injury looked bad. Straight to the locker room, got ruled out pretty quick. And, the team announced he has a wrist sprain. That's usually a pretty bad sign. So I think he's going to miss this one. RJ, tough read. I mean, this migraine thing's kept him out since Sunday, missing a couple games here. So, I don't really know how to break this one down. So we'll see if he's going to be back. So if one is out, we know that I think Josh Hart starts regardless. I think they'll slot him. They'll run RJ. Or whoever in the other starting spot there, kind of easy. If they're both out, I think they would go with Emmanuel quickly, which makes sense to me. I don't know. I think so. You're basically moving Dante DiVincenzo off the back end. We know they've started quickly a ton, but they just like Josh Hart more. Tibbs just can't get enough of Josh Hart in a good matchup. The Hornets play really fast. I think that really. I feel like Josh Hart always just goes off whenever it's like an up tempo game. So this would be his style there. And IQ as well. He's been great. One of the best pick and roll handlers. That would maybe take a little bit off the top of Jalen Brunson in such a good matchup. I mentioned, the Wizards are just insanely bad. First in pace too. So, open season for Knicks. And if it's thinning out, that means also that thins out the second unit. And Tibbs is very much a first unit, second unit kind of a guy. So, a really strong first unit versus a weaker second unit. I could see some elevated minutes going to the first unit guys. So we'll see.
I mean, just look at this box score. Just like look at the box score in front of you, right? This is a game that RJ Barrett was unable to play. This is a game that Grimes still played 29 minutes, and basically you have Mitch and Hartenstein combining for the full 48 at center, and then a 2-man bench with DiVincenzo and Quickly. So there's a lack of trust in the rest of the depth here, and it's a big cliff to fall off of. In this game, Evan Fournier was unavailable. He'll be back available. We'll see if he's used. But man, they like Brunson 41, Randall 39. We know Tibbs is willing to play guys heavy, and we also know that Tibbs is one of the guys that does not necessarily take things out for blowout, right? He doesn't really take
Yeah.
the foot off the pedal until very, very late. So you could see some really, really elevated minutes for the Knicks here.
Yeah,
Okay.
and should mention I would expect Deuce McBride to be next man in to cover the
Yep.
second unit there. They would run him behind
Yep.
Brunson, and I mean he may just get the non-Brunson. So I mean there's just so many minutes on the table.
Yep. All right, let's move to the Washington side. Nothing really to touch on here. DeLon Wright still listed out. He's going to be out for a while. They do have the G Leaguers listed out as well. Patrick Baldwin Jr., Ryan Rollins, John Butler Jr. Those guys get some blowout time on occasion when that happens for the Wizards. Any notes on the Wizards here?
No, not really. Jordan Poole's minutes are coming up. We saw him get into foul trouble, still get 32. We've seen him kind of touch mid-30s. If somehow they can hang with the Knicks, then maybe he's got mid-30s. Kyle Kuzma, really good matchup. He had some really big games against the Knicks last year. They're a really big three-point funnel. So, you obviously are going to want to play Knicks today. So, running it back with Kuzma and hoping they can kind of hang in there is, a viable strategy.
Yep. All right, let's move to Boston and Toronto. On the Boston side of things, the same two questionable tags we had last game with Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis, both listed questionable once again. Al Horford shows up on the injury report with a probable tag due to left big toe sprain. Decent-sized favorites here for Boston. What are your expectations for Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis tonight if we see them? Last game, we saw Sam Hauser and Al Horford step into the starting lineup in their absence.
Yeah, went through shoot around. Jaylen Brown returning off an illness tag. Looked like he had a shot to play last game, but they ruled him out pretty quick. But a couple days later, probably sounds like he's feeling better, so expecting him back. Kristaps Porzingis, injury never sounded serious. We saw him have those comments at shoot around 2 days ago when he's like, "Oh, Bede's not playing," So I think he's back. So I think they're going to kind of go back to their old starting lineup with the old usual bench of Al Horford. Again, probable tag, not a back-to-back, should be out there. Yeah, and then Luke Cornett could be in the mix a little bit, Pritchard, yada yada yada. So yeah, expect them back, and I think they are gonna blow them out. Honestly, once these guys are ruled in, I'm probably hitting Boston on this betting line.
Toronto side of things, OG Anunoby listed doubtful here. Gary Trent Jr. upgraded to probable. They still remain without Christian Koloko and Thad Young. Any notes on how the return of Gary Trent would potentially impact the Raptors rotation that is still without OG Anunoby? Should also note Dennis Schroeder not listed on the injury report in any way, shape, or form this game. He was questionable last game and played through it. What are your expectations tonight for the Raptors?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely need Trent here to fill in and start. If a plantar fasciitis issue, probably capped. So probably would be, he might play a lot, though. They're really thin. And they don't have a lot of wing depth here. So he could play a bunch if he's healthy enough to do so. Obviously, Grady Dick would go back to the bench. We'll see how much Otto Porter gets cut down. I would be thinking it's not much. They've got a pretty tight window for how much they want to play him here. And we saw Jakob Poeltl play a lot in the second half in the last game. So now that they've got that piece of Gary Trent, maybe they're less likely to do so, especially against a Boston team that shoots so many freaking threes. I think that's kind of a viable strategy. So it's kind of weird that I think Gary Trent affects Poeltl a little bit with the way things could shake out rotation-wise. Maybe Chris Boucher's minutes come down a little bit. He's been playing pretty well for them there. But yeah, I think that mostly sums it up. Scotty's been playing pretty well. Tough matchup. Scotty's going to get the Drew Holiday matchup. That's a tough one. Really shut him down. Pascal Siakam also kind of meh with a little bit of Jaylen Brown, Tatum, and stuff. So yeah, like I said, I think if Boston is fully loaded, I'm probably hitting this spread line.
All right, let's move to the Detroit-Cleveland game. The Pistons have a full injury report once again. Still without Bojan Bogdanovic, still without Jalen Duren, which this right ankle injury just keeps lingering. Without Joe Harris, without Isaiah Livers, without Jared Roden in the G League. And Marvin Bagley pops up as questionable. And I know we have some starters jerseys information here because while Fan can't come on the show with us on Fridays, he can still steal your bit and tweet about the starters jerseys. Yeah. So what do you got on the Hawks? Or excuse me, on the Pistons.
Yeah, what the hell, man? I thought we were friends. Why is Underdog trying to steal my bit, man? This is mine. This is my starters jerseys watch. Hashtag the watch. But yeah, he's ill. Sometimes those ill tags, they feel better and could play, but certainly seems like they're not expecting to play. Monty Williams really talked up Kevin Knox unprompted. So they love him, man. We saw him play 20 minutes off the bench, just signed with the team last week. He's in the rotation and he's going to play a lot. So yeah, I mean, we haven't switched it yet, but I will be giving Knox a lot of minutes. Not like 35, but like upper 20s. Like he's, I think, pretty safe. based on the commentary and what they kind of need here. They're just so thin in the front court. And they hate James Wiseman. Like, Wiseman's just terrible. So, yeah, Knox would start in a smaller lineup. That's obviously great news for Beef Stew. Matchup's pretty trash against a big Cleveland front court that's been a little bit vulnerable. We'll talk about them in a second. But, yeah, mostly straightforward there. Helps out the minute ceilings a little bit for, obviously, Beef Stew. Killing would help a little bit from playing using your kind of forward depth, more a little sliding to more of a 3-4s as opposed to 2-3s. So he would kind of be a low-key beneficiary there. And, yeah, maybe Asar Thompson could really hit the boards. He's going to have to guard Donovan if he can play, which I guess we can get to now.
Yeah, it's on the Pistons side of things, this changes a lot if you either remove Bagley entirely or you relegate him to a bench role in terms of you're going from playing two bigs on the floor together to one big on the floor together. It helps the rebounding opportunities for both Isaiah Stewart, for Asar Thompson. Although if Asar Thompson is taking the primary defensive responsibilities on a primary scorer, that is always challenging to go get rebounds as well, because you're trying to contest shots, not necessarily get in position to rebound. But you could see sort of boosts for rebounds for Cade, for Killian, for Isaiah Stewart if Bagley is indeed not starting, and certainly if he's not playing the whole game. You've got a lot of opportunities for just them to play up positionally as opposed to playing down positionally, which they've been forced to with these double bigs. Could open up more playing time as well for guys like Alec Burks, Marcus Sasser, Jaden Ivey, guys that they've been trying to find minutes for as well when healthy. So good notes there on Detroit. On the Cleveland side, questionable tags on both of their big guards, Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. Darius Garland with the neck strain that kept him out from last game. Donovan Mitchell with the right hamstring strain that he's listed questionable with. They're still without Isaac Okoro. What are your expectations for the Cavaliers tonight?
Yeah, so let's talk about Mitchell here. This is the second time he's been listed with a hamstring strain. My computer's slowing down here. Yeah, so that means sorry, just you got me still?
Yep, you're still. We still have your sound.
Cool.
That's frozen, but we still have your
my
sound.
computer's going real slow right now. So yeah, I expect him to. I don't know what I'm gonna. Okay, sorry for kind of like fumbling here. My computer's slowing down, but okay. So I'm sorry, man, I'm really messing up. Donovan Mitchell, second, he had that hamstring back-to-back thing. We were a little bit concerned. Obviously, you get listed with a hamstring in a back-to-back, decent chance you miss. He was listed with hamstring soreness. That is different from where he's listed today. He's listed with a hamstring strain now. So worse listing, big concern for me that he misses this one. Darius Garland, we saw him run into McGee, all that. I don't know if he's going to play. Tough read on a neck injury. Sometimes you feel better, much like back injury. So I think one of them may miss. That could be good news for Caris LeVert. There is an article that just went up I was trying to read that slowed my computer down here about his 6th man of the year bid, and he's been playing huge minutes off the bench. Definitely one of the favorites, I would say. So, I think they would sneak him in there if both are sitting, and then if one's sitting, they would play Max Strus and then run D Wade out there for the empty calories as well. So, but yeah, I think this. I would not treat this as a fake tag. I kind of think Donovan's a little bit more likely to miss. But yeah, that's I think that mostly sums it up. Would be obviously benefit Max Strus. Evan Mobley will be in a huge spot against a smaller, weak front court. The Piston front court defense has been really falling off. Their rim defense has fallen apart since Jalen Durant went out. So it could be an Evan Mobley fest if one or both guards miss.
Yeah, you had mentioned that you might see Asar Thompson get the Donovan Mitchell responsibility. I'm trying to think through how the defensive matchups would look if they did, in fact, do that, because you got to play somebody. Is it Kevin Knox on Mobley in that situation? Like if Isaiah Stewart would be on Jared Allen, I assume. I mean, Kevin Knox would seem to be a great, spot to attack for Evan Mobley in that scenario as well. Yeah. So are your expectations, like, do you feel pretty locked in that if Mitchell is playing, that Asar gets that role? And if Mitchell is not playing, do you think he would still get the Garland role if Garland was playing? Or do you think they'd be fine with Killian taking that role and having Asar? Because size-wise, they don't have a lot of great options against Evan Mobley.
Yeah, I think so. Pretty confident that would be the case. Yeah, Killian would take Garland and they hide Cade on Strus or whatever the iterations are. They put Cade on the weak guy. Yeah. Well, yeah, I feel pretty confident that's the way they would go. They might go beef stew and let Knox deal with
Jared Allen.
Down low on Jared Allen. It's he's got some verticality a little bit, but that actually
It
probably
also allows you to switch screens a little bit better as well, but could lead to a good lob game for Jared Allen if he's the one getting the weaker assignment there. Okay. Let's move to Philadelphia and Atlanta. On the Philadelphia side of things, Nico Batum still listed out for personal reasons. Kelly Oubre Jr. still out with that fractured rib. Joel Embiid still listed questionable with the left hip soreness. We saw him get through both ends of the back-to-back earlier this week. We'll note that just from a in-season tournament perspective for Philadelphia, this is an elimination game for them, basically, from the in-season tournament, because they dropped the game to Indiana last time out. And so if they lost this game, they'd have 2 losses. I mean, it's basically an elimination game. It's not for sure, but they'd have 2 losses, and neither Indy or Atlanta would have any losses at this point. Do you think that plays into the Embiid questionable tag in any way, shape, or form tonight?
No, I think so just really quick, Bradley Beal just got ruled out for 3 weeks. Not great. So let me go over Joel. So there was a comment from Nick Nurse that really stuck out to me. He was asked about Embiid kind of off the cuff from a reporter. Like, hey, how's this Embiid hip thing? He says, oh yeah, he's never mentioned it. Like, dude, he's been listed for like 4 games with this hip soreness thing. This is fake tag written all over it. This is the new NBA rule. Don't rest your guys. List them. They're going to list. Same with LeBron. We'll get to. This is clearly what they're doing here. So I feel, and he's been playing through these. So I feel pretty confident that this tag, which has been listed identically for this whole stretch, is just BS. So I expect him out there. His role has been full. He's been high usage, yada, yada, yada. So expecting Embiid to be out there today, I would be pretty shocked if he wasn't.
So what you're saying is that they're essentially listing this questionable tag in anticipation of they have some rest date planned in mind ahead, but they're kind of getting ahead of it by listing with a questionable tag is your assertion here?
That's kind of what I'm saying, yeah. Or for back-to-backs that are coming, all that. But no back-to-back today in season tournament game. I know it's an opponent they want to mention the elimination stuff. Like I think that they want to win this game, so I feel pretty good he's going to play.
Yeah. Okay. Atlanta side of things, nothing on the injury report to note here. Trae Young is good. I did see some commentary around how Atlanta was on a back-to-back and Trae Young was the rested guy. I don't think Trae Young was the rested guy after welcoming the birth of his child. I think he was probably not sleeping too well in the hospital, would be my guess. But no injury tags here. Any notes on the Hawks rotation tonight?
No, just pace, man. They are playing really, really fast. They're letting teams play fast on them. It's been a really, really good setup. One of the worst rim defenses in the NBA. Capella just doesn't protect the rim like he used to, which has been a trend. It's also just how they play, just stylistically. But their pick and roll defense has been fantastic. DeJounte Murray has been really good. Second in the NBA in per possession against pick and roll handlers. DeJounte's off to a really, and DeJounte's crushing offensively. Leads the NBA in isolation scoring per possession. Just a great season for DeJounte after a little bit of an underwhelming one last year. So he's off to a really fast start. And Trey's also kind of cooking. We had trouble with his layups earlier. The potential assists have been spiking. Hawks, tough loss. They just got killed on the glass by the Knicks the last game, but they're generally playing pretty well.
Yeah, as a Hawks seasonal backer, that was a tough pill to swallow. All right, Sacramento and San Antonio. Sacramento still remains without Trey Lyles, without Alex Len, Kobe Jones on his G League assignment along with Jordan Ford. So no big injuries to monitor here. Any notes on the Kings?
No, just really big win. They ran all over the poor Lakers, 30 transition points or possessions, excuse me. But just really, really strong game from them. They could kill the Spurs in transition. The Spurs are dead last in transition points per game. The Kings in transition go together like spaghetti and meatballs. I don't even know where my analogy is going here, but so that's kind of where we're at. The bench is the same. Monk, Zenkov, Keon Ellis looks to be still ahead based on what we said last time, where Mike Brown was like, "Oh yeah, Keon Ellis kind of earned it, and Davion has to kind of get in where he could fit in, et cetera, et cetera." But it could be some really big games. We took some Kings unders, which may sound a little bit off because of what I just said, but we think they're gonna blow them out. Is kind of what we're hoping for. So yeah.
Yeah, we will see if that's the case. The one thing I would note here is Sacramento in this last game was up 24 points going into the fourth quarter, and you can see the starters' minutes here. So if it's within striking distance at all, it seems like the lack of confidence in the bench is leading to elevated minutes for the starters, which would be a concern. They are not on a back-to-back. San Antonio is on the front end of a back-to-back, so it's possible that San Antonio in a blowout situation would pull their starters a little bit earlier than the Lakers did. The Lakers stagger AD and LeBron, so there's never like a soft spot there. But there's the hope that maybe San Antonio on the front end of a back-to-back would be more willing to kind of pull the plug on things early. Although Pop in kind of a developmental mode at times, sometimes it's just like, let me get guys the minutes at the end of the game. So a little bit of a tricky situation to project for sure. Let's move to
one
the
thing
San
to add
Antonio
really quick
side
on. If I could add really quick on Fox, just one thing on Fox really quick. So he did the post-game presser after this game, and he's like, "Yeah, I rolled my ankle. This is the same ankle that he had a grade 3 sprain on 3 years ago, whatever it was." And he's like, "Yeah, I just got to play through it for the next 3 months." So he's going to play banged up a little bit for the rest of the season. That obviously didn't affect him. He looks spectacular since he's returned, but just wanted to note that.
Yep. All right, San Antonio side, Keldon Johnson, probable. Trey Jones, doubtful. Sandro Mamakhelishvili, probable. Those are the big tags here with Devin Vassell still out, or I guess not still out. Devin Vassell out is part of the big tags as well. It is the front end of a back-to-back for the Spurs, so it's possible we see a situation where Vassell and Trey Jones are, out tonight and then Keldon's out tomorrow type thing. What are your expectations for the Spurs tonight?
Yeah, it seems quite obvious that's the case. They ruled him out early. This groin soft tissue injury. We thought he's going to miss a while based on, Pops literally said he'd be out a while. So yeah, that's clearly why. So expect him back. Whether Keldon plays tomorrow, we'll see how they report it. Keldon says he's going to play, so he's good there. So we'll have a starting lineup of Jeremy Sohan, Malachi Branham will fill in for Vassell, Keldon, Wemby, and Zach Collins. And then the question is, who plays the backup minutes for Trey Jones? This time they do. Last time when Trey Jones was out, they had Blake Wesley in the G League with the Austin Spurs. They got him today. So Blake Wesley was running ahead of Devontae Graham. So does he leapfrog him here? I kind of think he does. We've got like a little bit of a hedge, but I think Blake Wesley will kind of go there. Maybe he gets garbage time, probably a little thin to play that in DFS, but something to keep an eye on there. And then, Jetty Osman, Doug McDermott, Charles Bassey, all those guys off the bench.
All right, let's go to Denver and New Orleans. Denver still without Jamal Murray, though the latest reports were that he is progressing. So, maybe next week at some point, maybe the week after. That's the hope on Jamal Murray. Without Jamal Murray, they've been kind of like rotating some of the back end rotation spots. Julian Strother, Jaden Pickett. We've seen different guys get different opportunities at different times. Connor Gillespie, like there's just been a lot of different options that they've thrown at the wall, trying to find something that'll stick. The one thing that's sticking is really heavy usage for the two-time MVP. 23 field goal attempts last game, uncharacteristically inefficient from the field. 23 field goal attempts, 14 free throws, and just 32 points for Jokic is a really light outcome, but he's being asked to carry an awful lot now. So it's not surprising to me that the efficiency takes a hit. I would never expect an 8 for 23 game, but the 70% 2-point percentage that he had been carrying the last, year and a half with Jamal and MPJ and all these guys, I think that's probably a thing of the past until Jamal comes back. What are your expectations for the Nuggets tonight?
Yep. Giannis just got upgraded and missed my 20 after bets because the books lined him high. But we move on. Yeah. So, I think Jalen Pickett's in there again. Mike Malone said he was really pleased, and based on his phrasing, it seemed like he's going to be in there. So, expect him out there. Christian Brown, second unit. Peyton Watson still hanging on by a thread. Zeke Naji looks to be back in the good graces overall. Expect the same starting lineup. Not much to add, but other than the Joker stuff, we kind of know, right? The role is absurd, and couldn't get that triple double for us. Sad.
Second time this year we've fallen at the 9 assist mark, which is challenging. Who do you think Herb Jones guards and defends in this one?
That's a great question. So, because they started out the Mavericks game, he was guarding Derek Lively. And it was like, okay, because I just automatically assumed they start Dyson Daniels to guard Kyrie. But to be clear, they did adjust.
That was just a pre-switch.
Right. So that was interesting. That I was like, okay, So I don't. So what I'm getting at here, I don't think it's completely off the table that Herb guards Jokic, which he's rarely done. He's very
That sounds
much been a
crazy to me.
guard. Yeah, it sounds insane, but I won't be surprised to mix it up. So yeah, I think it's Reggie Jackson though, which is not great
Okay.
for Reggie Jackson, who's playing pretty well. So,
Yeah.
and I think Zion gets Aaron Gordon. We'll see if they start Jordan Hawkins again. I think that last time they started, I guess we could kind of pivot
It
to
was
them. I
against
guess last time
Denver.
they started the Dallas game. Was that their last one?
No. I'm saying Hawkins breakout start was against Denver previously.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and that was the game that I had said I thought there was a decent chance that he starts because of shooting.
Yep.
In the absence of CJ McCollum and whatnot. So I think there's a decent chance they go back to that type of situation.
Yeah, I think so. But then again, it worked. They had one of their best games of the season when they weren't playing well. So I don't know. And Willie Green was away from the team, and James Borrego was a coach. And I mean, they pushed so many of the right buttons, man. Like the turnovers were huge. They played like almost a perfect game, especially defensively. So I think the way they played so well defensively, but like as you're saying, it's just such a different matchup. Like a Jokic-led offense versus a Luka. It's just so different. So I think they go back to Hawkins, but I am not confident.
Yeah, I think just if you think through the differences in the matchups, right, against Dallas, you're trying to have as many switchable kind of perimeter defenders there. And I think the starting Herb on Lively thing is like Lively's not going to hurt you in the post at all. So what does Lively do? He sets picks for Luka. So that just allows them to pre-switch with Herb basically already ready there to kill any of the pick and roll stuff that they're doing. That's the whole point of it. That's why I don't think it's even close to what they would do defensively with Jokic tonight. Whereas the Jokic team, you're going to have to outscore a Jokic team. There were basically quotes from New Orleans being like, yeah, we know, like, we got to score. So I think that means shooting as opposed to like defense, which is Dyson Daniels' role, which is more of like ball handling defense type stuff. So I think whether Daniels or Hawkins starts, I think Hawkins would be more likely, as long as he's shooting well, to pick up heavier minutes tonight. I think he's got a higher ceiling on the minute side of things between the two players.
Yeah. And I just got to call out Zion Williamson really quick. I mean, let me just call it. What the hell, Zion? He's been really, really bad. Like the stats don't really bear it out because he's had some transition to bully him. But in half court, this is the guy that shoots the vast majority of his shots at the rim. He's 0.86 points per possession in half court. That is crazy bad for the guy with his shot profile. He's been terrible. So I mean, they got to get him right. I think matchup against Aaron Gordon, not good. So they might have to lean more into Brandon Ingram, who's playing pretty well and some pretty good minutes as well. So. Yeah, I just wanted to mention how poor Zion's been playing. Hopefully he could kind of turn it around. We talked about this on the pod two times ago, but it's gotten worse. He just can't finish around the basket right now. It's insane.
Yeah. All right. Orlando and Chicago, another rematch of one of the ugliest games of the season. Last time out when these two teams just played an absolute slogfest. On the Orlando side, still no Wendell Carter Jr., still no Markelle Fultz. Jalen Suggs listed questionable with left knee soreness here. This is kind of a natural thinning of the guard position that they've been a little bit deeper at. Gary Harris not listed on the injury report, but I assume there will still be some sort of minutes limitations on him. If Jalen Suggs were to miss, do you think Cole Anthony slides into that spot, or do you think it's Gary Harris and they keep Cole Anthony in kind of the sixth man role?
I think they would probably start Gary Harris. I think they really like Cole off the bench. Sounds like Suggs got a decent chance. So I think he got hurt when he like fell. He falls on the floor a lot, by the way, which they love that. It's extra effort kind of stuff. So I think he's okay, just to leave with that. But yeah, I think they would start Harris. I think they like Cole off the bench, and they really like Anthony Black. That he obviously is pretty bad for fantasy, but he picked up the Zach LaVine matchup, and they're Mosley called him a quote unquote elite defender, which I don't know about that, but they like him. So we'll see if he can kind of keep the minutes there. We saw 2 games ago, Anthony Black's minutes really cratered, lost the first half rotation. That was so tilting for a bet that we took. But yeah, I think they would start Garris, who would probably pick up, we'll get to DeMar and all that, but I think they would start Harris to keep Cole in that 6-man role to cover their guard minutes a little bit cleaner.
Okay. Assume though, if Suggs were out, Cole Anthony would have a pretty big minute ceiling in that, even if he's not starting in that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Chicago side of things for him before, so yeah, he'd have a pretty big ceiling.
Chicago side of things, Alex Caruso listed probable, so he came out of last game looking good with the left toe strain. They played him a lot last game. DeMar DeRozan questionable for personal reasons once again. There were some quotes that made it sound like this was going to be a longer thing, and now it sounds like maybe he'll be back today. What's your read on the DeMar DeRozan situation? We saw last game without him, Patrick Williams inserted in the starting lineup alongside Torrey Craig. Those two benefited, but Caruso was really the guy who saw his minutes kind of tick up in the absence of DeMar DeRozan. What are your expectations tonight?
Yeah, so let's talk timeline here. First thing that comes out a couple days ago, day before the game, is Chris Haynes reports that he's going to be out for personal reasons. Chris Haynes noted he's expected back Friday. Fast forward to Billy Donovan pregame. He says, we're going to give him all the time he needs. That on the heels of the Zach LaVine report. Little weird phrasing. Going again to yesterday, still not with the team. Hope he returns, and he will take as long time as he needs, according to Donovan. Again, today, Casey Johnson, probably one of the best beat reporters on the planet. He says that they are basically hopeful he returns. So it sounds like he's kind of in, but no word yet that he's officially in. So we have him in for projections. And yeah, we'll see. I definitely think he misses this one. So it's not like it's, I don't know. Anyways, but if they're out again, they would start Patrick. If he's out again, it would be Patrick Williams. Craig, again, who played, pretty well. They ran him, a lot of minutes. Craig getting the Franz matchup. And Franz kind of struggled with Craig's length. And then Paolo dealt with Patrick Williams before he had the game winner against Caruso, who also picked up some of that Paolo matchup there. But yeah, we'll kind of wait and see on DeMar. And yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. Great comeback from the Bulls, just fell a little short.
Yeah. Lakers and Portland, questionable tag for LeBron James once again, probable tag for Anthony Davis, still without Jared Vanderbilt and Gabe Vincent. What are your notes on the 2 stars for LA?
Yeah, very fake tag vibes on LeBron. I have a little bit more. I talked about the NBA tag. LeBron's a little older, but he's been listed again identically. We know the Lakers, they love to put tags on guys. I know Fan had literally tracked how many days they had tags on them. So yeah, it seems very fake to me. So expecting to play, in-season tournament game. Maybe that's part of it, but not a back-to-back. Certainly a soft opponent, but they need wins. They're 6-6. They could use one. So yeah, expecting LeBron to go. AD is just good to go. The minutes have been really, really strong. And yeah, they're going to start the same starting lineup. Ham seems to like it with the D'Lo, Reddish is a 2, who's probably guarding Sharp. Yeah, no, actually, yeah. And then Taurean Prince probably guards Grant, and then obviously LeBron, AD, and then the bench should be pretty similar.
All right, Portland side of things, still without Malcolm Brogdon and Scoot Henderson, also without Ryan Rupert on G League assignment, and of course Anthony Simons and Robert Williams. Justin Minaya, G Leaguer listed available, so They do get one of their G Leaguers listed available. But what are your notes here on the Blazers, who remain very, very shorthanded in the backcourt?
Yeah, Justin Minaya, who I automatically dislike because he is Omer Minaya's son, as a lifelong Mets fan. Although I don't follow baseball much anymore for quite obvious reasons. But yeah, so let's talk Shaedon Sharpe, right? I mentioned this on the show last time that I had some concerns about this probable tag with the knee. We saw him limping around a couple games ago, and the minutes came down. Sure, part of it was game flow fouls, yada, yada, yada. But 27 minutes is real light for him for a guy who was leading the NBA minutes. So keep an eye on that. Blowout. So we've got our lightest minutes projection on Shaedon Sharpe that we've had all month. Yeah, a little bit of concern on his minutes, and then the rest is pretty much straightforward. Skylar Mays was looking at big minutes before he picked up foul trouble in the first half. Jeremy Grant picked up some fouls here and there. Toumani Cabarrot's minutes have been kind of iffy, and actually Matisse Thybulle has been pretty good off the bench, hitting some threes. Jabari Walker's also had a pretty big impact off the bench for them, and they can't stop playing Duop Reith, who had a pretty good game, and maybe he's interesting and showdown for sure because. If this is a big spread, he's a pretty good per minute guy from what we've seen so far with the pick and pop threes, involved in a lot of screen and pop action. So kind of low key. He's on my 30-man league, obviously, if you didn't know that. But yeah, but I love me some bad basketball.
Yeah, Skylar lost 2 or 3 minutes to blowout and lost 4 minutes of a rotation to fouls. So he could have gone up 37, 38 in the Shaedon Sharpe type of role. So if the game is close, we could get there. He had a big game against the Lakers previously when they were able to kind of keep it within striking distance. All right, Phoenix and Utah. That Bradley Beal doubtful tag is apparently an out tag, and it's apparently an out tag for a long time for Bradley Beal. So we will have to adjust expectations for the Suns in the absence of Bradley Beal once again. Other injury notes here: Devin Booker, Drew Eubanks, and Jordan Goodwin all upgrade to available tonight. So, not too much to talk about here in terms of the, forecasting the injury tags, but what are your rotation notes on the Suns?
Oh man, Joe Burrow out for the season. That's my best ball bags are hurting. Yeah, not great for Beal. This is terrible news for him. This back thing's not going to go away until it sounds like probably next 2024. But anyways, yeah, great game from them. Really just completely smashed the number one defense in the NBA. Don't know why they would change it. With Devin Booker, who I'll talk about in a second, Grayson Allen, Eric Gordon, who played pretty well, who's kind of slumping. KD, Nurkic obviously would be in there. Think they're obviously they trust the Kogi. I think they would still play him pretty good bet. He's looks like he's kind of the lead man on the wing. I still think Jordan Goodwin will play. Keita Bates-Diop's minutes have really kind of fallen off. And then Eubanks. So that would be their rotation. I do want to highlight Devin Booker and just how ridiculous he's been. He's 57th in minutes, and he's like top 4 in points off drives, touches, potential assists. I think he's a third in assists. He's just the role is and the offense has been great. The only players with 32 or more minutes per game with a better offensive rating than Booker are Tyrese Halliburton and Jason Tatum, the 1 and 2 offenses in the NBA. So the role is just insane, like Luka-like usage. He's top 3 in usage. The role is insane. So we'll see what the minutes limit looks like. If it's off, he's my cover boy. I think he could just totally do damage in like 33, 34 minutes because the role is that good against the league's worst guard defense. They're dead last in pick and roll handler defense. They're one of the worst teams in transition, which Booker's really good, and we saw that post Chris Paul. So I think Booker could go completely nuke here. Kevin Durant against a weak rim defense as well with John Collins down there. Although they did have their first sub 100-point game of the Will Hardy stint, which is kind of wild. But should mention that. And then Grayson Allen will pick up Clarkson, which we can kind of get to.
All right, Utah side of things, Walker Kessler remains out here. They're also without all their G Leaguers. Any no questionable or probable tags here, so no guessing at who's available. Any notes on the rotation for Utah here?
No, just I think we kind of got this figured out. They booted Chris Dunn out of the rotation last game. That was a little bit new. And, yeah, they like Simon Fontecchio. That really helped Colin Sexton's minutes. I've been talking about Colin Sexton's minutes being so capped, and he finally broke through, and he's breaking through here. So after just wanting to bet his unders every single slate, he's can't do it anymore. He's got a tighter rotation to help his minutes. Let's talk Keontae George, my guy. The role is insane. Let me pull up my stats here real quick because he has, let's see here, 6.7 minutes of touch time, ranks 9th in the league. He is 110, and this is since he started. Since he started, 6.7 minutes of touch time, ranks 8th in the league, and he's 110th in minutes. So he's touching the ball. He's slinging that thing. The potential assist has been really good. 11th potential assist as a starter. So, yeah, really big handling role. Jordan Clarkson's minutes are up. He's been really aggressive against kind of bad defenses. We took an under on him, kind of expecting some regression. And hopefully Grayson Allen could stay in front of him. He'll definitely, I would say almost certainly draw that matchup. And Grayson's been pretty good. And they've been stealing a lot of stuff from the Cavs with the way they're kind of pinching their bigs and Durant and all that on the on-ball guys. So it's a little bit tougher than you're oh, Grayson Allen's going to cook them. So just how they're defending is, I think, a little bit tougher on guards.
Okay. We talked all towards the back end of the preseason because early in the offseason, we're pretty excited about Colin Sexton potentially being able to start for Utah and what kind of role that would be for him. But we kind of talked there was this termination date on the contract for Chris Dunn. That was a big one that we were waiting for. It got picked up. And once that was picked up, it was oh man, now there's a lot of potential cooks in the kitchen at the guard spot that they could use. If they are committed to taking Chris Dunn out, that improves the ceiling for all of these guards minutes, for Colin Sexton, for Talen Horton-Tucker, for Keontae George, for Ochai Agbaji. There's just too many of them right now. So that is a big development to keep an eye on. We still have 6 minutes of Chris Dunn just because this is the first time we've seen it. So we need to see it a little bit more before we're fully projecting it out. But it is something to keep an eye on because I said coming into this year that the Utah box scores are going to be difficult from a DFS standpoint because they're going to play 10 guys every night. Well, Walker Kessler's out. If they cut out Chris Dunn as well. You see, this last game was a 9-man rotation. 9-man rotations, we can get some fantasy upside from. It's the 10-mans, the 10.5s. Those are really hard to get fantasy upside from on a consistent basis. Okay. Yep. Houston and the Clippers, last game of the night to get through. On the Houston side, still without Amen Thompson, and of course, no Victor Oladipo. So no real injuries to cover there. Any notes for Houston, who's been off for a few days here?
Yeah, they've been off since the weekend, so you can get a lot of time here. I think a game they want to get. I feel like no team would be more inclined to want to win who's playing well. They're 6-3. Like, they want to get this game, and they are playing their guys minutes here. Fred VanVleet is back on the Nick Nurse workout plan, hitting 40s again. So, I think he's going to play a ton. Obviously, the matchup should be pretty good. He probably picks up a tougher matchup now. I think Terrence Mann probably draws him. We'll talk about that in a second, obviously, but. Yeah, pretty good rolls here. Şengün's been great, man. He's elite touches. The handling's been pretty good. The scoring, the assisting, he's playing really. And the defense has been better too. So minutes are up as well. So he's in a good spot. Got to go Jabari Smith in the bad news. I mean, that's rough, man. Like, he's losing closing minutes to Jeff Green. I'm down bad on this one. He's not my guy. Jabari is off to a slow start. Could turn it around. Going to have to guard Kawhi as well. So not the spot for Jabari here, but maybe he can turn it around because I think he's still a pretty talented guy. But yeah, we got this rotation pretty much pegged. Just expecting, pretty strong minutes here. I really, really think that, there's probably only a couple teams today that really want to win the game today for in-season tournament. The Rockets are probably at the top of the list for me.
We also saw against a big center in Nikola Jokic, who played a ton of minutes. We saw only 2 minutes from Jock Landale as a backup center. It seems like they're comfortable with Jeff Green, Tari Eason, Jayshawn Tate, Jabari Smith. Those guys kind of covering the big slots when Şengün is off the floor for the 12 to 15 minutes a night. Is that your anticipation going forward, or your expectation, going forward for the Rockets?
Yeah, I think it'll be a little matchup driven, but Tyler's going to want to play small. Like, we saw what he just loves it. There's not many more coaches that want to play small like he does when he has someone like PJ Tucker, who's been a small ball 5 for the last 5-6 years now. So yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. This game could play pretty small here. So yeah, I think that I was pretty big on this. I was like, oh yeah, I think Landale can go away pretty easy. For all the times we potted Rocket stuff in the offseason. So not really surprised. Shout out to me, but yeah, I think that mostly covers it.
All right, Clippers side of things, as you mentioned, there's nothing here to talk about injury stuff. Mason Plumlee's still out. He's going to be out for a long time. Nobody else on the injury report. But the big news was the report that Russell Westbrook has requested to come off the bench to help ease the transition of James Harden. This was the move that we all sort of expected would happen at some point, just because it makes a lot more sense to have Russ get the ball in his hands in the second unit and play kind of that, ultra 6th man role that we saw him thrive in last year. It makes more sense to get another defender on the floor with James and Paul George and Kawhi that don't need to eat a lot of usage. So Terrence Mann, we expect to move into that starting lineup. What are your expectations on the whole in terms of Clippers, who last time out played well against Denver? They're big favorites tonight, which I think is going to draw in a lot of wagers on Houston tonight, would be my guess. A lot of people are going to want to bet Houston, who's been playing very well and getting 7 or 8 points against the Clippers in LA. The Clippers played an 8-man rotation last game. That is unusual in the NBA in a regular season situation. It speaks to some of the desperation that they're dealing with here naturally on the roster. They have 2 more days off after this game. So this is a great time to condense things and play tighter, and also kind of focus on getting more and more possessions with the starters all together. So I'm thinking they might play 8 again tonight. I'm not sure Bones Highland, as that 9th, gets into the rotation. What are your expectations for the Clippers tonight?
Yeah, I don't think Tice is officially signed yet, so they won't have him. So yeah, I think they're gonna run 8. You're basically flip-flopping Terrence Mann and Westbrook for substitution patterns and all that good stuff. I think they run 8 again. I mean, they gotta win a game here, as you kind of said there. I mean, everyone who consumes NBA content knows that the Clippers are the story to bag on, and what everyone loves to everyone roots for the underdog, but everyone loves to bash the high-profile teams that are struggling. So. Yeah, I think that this could be a really tight spot. Paul George, pretty strong usage rate game, and probably getting Dylan Brooks, I would say. So it's a little bit of a tougher matchup for him there. But I think his role is a little bit more encouraging, as we said. Kawhi Leonard's usage was scary low in the last game. It was like 21 something, but he was like, when he got the ball, he was aggressive. I think he had like 14, 15 drives. He looked like a guy who was ready to take over a game, just didn't really play well. Getting Jabari Smith, so bad matchup there. So, yeah, and then the Rockets, just to hit them really quick. Why is their defense good? Their transition defense has been freaking great. Teams have not been able to run on them. They've been able to keep teams in the half court. But they've actually been really lucky on a lot of jump shooting, like a lot of their like unguarded catch and shoot stuff, like the easy shots. They've been lucky on. So I think that the Clippers could get right. I'm not betting them. There's no way I could do it. But yeah, I think this game's. I think the Clippers got a shot here. I think the move for Terrence Mann was a really, really good one, way overdue, all that good stuff. But I think that, and they look better, right? I mean, they had a pretty good shot at this game against the best team in the NBA. So yeah, I think that there's a chance that the Clippers get right here. Again, I'm not betting it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they have a good game.
I was going to ask on the other side, are you betting Houston? Because I think a lot of people woke up today and are like,
No.
this line makes no sense. I'm betting Houston. And to me, this is the sucker's line. Like, we'll see how good. I mean, Houston's been playing very, very well. Clippers have obviously been playing terrible. But this line, when it seems too good to be true, I just caution that it often is not. This felt a little suckery. Now it's at a good point territory where it's got to be like an absolute blowout, because you can still kind of cover late with free throws and whatnot. But 7-8, I think a lot of people would have expected this to be 3 or 4, is I think what people were kind of thinking they'd see tonight. So I was interested in your take on the Houston side.
Yeah, and Paul George was really hot. Like before the trade, he was one of the most efficient players in the NBA. Blah, 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 blah. I know, small sample, but he looked really, really comfortable. And this whole thing kind of threw him off. I think he's getting back in a better rhythm. So again, I'm not betting this one. There's just, I don't have any confidence on them getting it right. But I feel if you made me bet, I would like try to find a live line. But I kind of think the Clippers come out and look like the team that they hope they were today.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you there that I'm more inclined to grab something live than bet it straight, and I'm more inclined to be looking for kind of a softer line on the Clippers side of things, like that Houston gets off to a good start or something like that, and I can get a Clippers -3, -2.5, something like that is kind of what my instincts are on this. As always, remember preseason expectations on these two teams, wildly different, right? One team had a win total in the mid 40s. Another team had a win total in the low 30s. And one team just added James Harden, who for all his, all the challenges around James Harden, most people would think that would be an upgrade over Marcus Morris and Robert Covington. So the line is very much saying that, and I'm sure the books know that they're setting the line at a number they're probably going to get decent attention from the public on Houston. So, yeah, this one feels trappy to me.
Yep. Okay, let's get out of here to get under 59.
We got to get out of here. Yeah, we got to get to the close. As always, if you enjoy the content that we're providing, please subscribe to this YouTube channel, get notifications whenever we go live, as we do our best to keep under an hour week alive. If you are interested in our content behind the paywall, you can find myself and Gary Hartman at 5 o'clock behind the paywall for another edition of Establish the Show. Today, we go 5 days a week at 5 o'clock Eastern, breaking down the slate, the good chalk, the bad chalk, the contrarian plays, the leverage plays, so on and so forth. Mike Gallagher's matchups column is already out. That comes out Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 times a week for subscribers. And of course, you get access to our private ETR Discord with a great community of like-minded DFS players as well. If you're interested in our props package, we did raise the price this week to $59.99. We're trying to test out, supply-demand characteristics and see if we can keep the subscription at a number of users that is attainable for everybody, still trying their best to get bets and whatnot. If you're interested in joining the community, please read the FAQ for more information. As always, if you would appreciate the content that we're providing for free here, please smash that like button. It helps feed the algorithm, which helps feed our families and allows us to feed you the NBA injury information analysis you need to make your spread bets, prop bets, DFS lineups, and so on and so forth. So smash that like button. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the in-season tournament games today. We will be back on Monday with another edition of Establish Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. Take care, everyone.